I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
I just never gets old. Welcome in. It's the Daily Puck Drop. It's Thursday, November 21st. First and foremost, I don't know how many people, this is the week where when you're doing a show online, whether you're streaming it or video or an audio, the challenges of it, because I think many of you and those who are on, many of you who do not have power. So if you don't have power, you're like, well, you're not watching this right now or listening to this right now. But for all the people out there who are out with power, 600,000+ people, and maybe at some point you listen to this later, man, our thoughts are with you guys. That is the damage around this area is just ridiculous. And I am, and if you live in Seattle, like in the city, like you get sheltered from this stuff. Like it just doesn't really affect you. We just don't have a lot of trees around here, and it just was not an issue in Ballard and in most of really Seattle. I mean, I drive around, I don't see really anything, but God, I see the images on TV, reading stuff online. It just looks awful out there. So for everyone out there, just a real quick note that's had to deal with that here in the last 24, 48 hours, which will then go into the weekend, man. I'm sorry for you, feeling for everyone. Hopefully if you get a chance to watch and listen to this at some point, we'll try to put a smile on your face. Daily Puck Drop, of course, broadcasting live from the Limbach Lumber Studios. Built Limbach Lumber contractors. They got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. Largest stock moldings in the Northwest. Old school service. They've been doing it since 1930. Give Limbach Lumber a call. 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbachlumber.com. I caught up with our buddy Matt from Limbach Lumber last night, and they got we'll have something coming out when I get back from vacation, back from visiting family next week. In regards to a charity near and dear to their heart, the Ballard Food Bank that they want to talk about, and we're going to give you some more information about that when we come back on December 2nd. We appreciate you following along on all these social media channels. I like to spit them out before every show. Follow Puck Sports on X, on Blue Sky, on Instagram. Follow it along all of our video clips that we put out every single day on TikTok, Puck_sports, Facebook, Puck Sports, the Puck's Posse community membership. Our first show is out up there right now on our Puck's Posse community membership site. That QR code on your stream, that when you're watching it, that will take you right there to the Patreon site where you can sign up to be a member of the Puck's Posse community membership. You want full access, all access to all my content. You don't want to miss a thing. You're going to want to become a full member. Members get full access to all VIP content. And again, full access. Make sure you become a member of Puck's Posse community member. And again, pucksports.com. Also, you can search Puck Sports on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com, /Puck Sports, or where's the / Puck Sports. Also download the Patreon app if you want to listen to it. 2+ hours of baseball talk. Mariners Diamond Table show is out. Ryan Divish, Adam Jude, Jim Duquette, Bill Kruger, Brad Adam. I think it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Maybe it's 2 hours and 34 minutes. It's unbelievable. It was a blast to do. Credit those guys. We did it here in the last week. And just awesome sitting back down with those guys again. Divish and I, we do some stuff still in the off season every week. We didn't have Divish on yesterday just because we're putting this out today. But, I text with Bill and Brad and Jim all the time, but a long time since we sat down and did a show together, and just phenomenal. I'm biased. I think it's the best baseball coverage in this city. If you want to talk Mariners, I think it's the best. I think that the different perspectives that you get from all these guys is just second to none. And it's valued information that's rooted by people that are within the organization and have deep ties to the organization. It's a fun watch and fun listen. It really is. Brad and Bill, I mean, I'm thinking about when we start baseball season again, just to have them on together, because I want to call it's the Root Sports After Dark. Again, listen, they work for Root Sports, and which is basically work for the Mariners. I mean, it is. But their analysis in the 45 minutes that we spent, just the three of us, was top notch, man. And they said honestly, there was no holding back with those two. Zero. They gave their opinions, and they talked about, hey, they think it'll just be status quo this offseason. They did have an update on Root Sports if you're curious about that. Some good news there. Divish and Jude just were great. Hour plus with them. They just nailed everything in terms of where the ownership group is, where the front office is, what are the next steps for this organization. And then for Duquette just offered up, hey, listen, if I was the GM of the team, because he has a GM perspective, being a former GM with the Orioles and the Mets, is that, here's my perspective, and here's my thoughts, and here's what they should do looking into the offseason. But it was fun. It was a great conversation. It was informative, and I think it's going to make you. I think you'll be encouraged sometimes, but then you're going to be pissed off a lot. I do want to play just a small snippet of it. We played about 15 minutes yesterday of the full length. Well, 15 minutes of the full length piece that came out early this morning. But here's a minute clip of what you will get with our Mariners offseason diamond table.
Patchworking it together. At some point, you either say, we're going to win and we're going to invest more to ensure the fact that we don't have these issues, or get out. I mean, that's kind of...
Crawford is going to have to, he's going to have to fix it.
Yep.
This forward press, try to hit the ball at the ballpark, the forward press at the top of the bat, he's going to have to flatten the bat out, man. Let's go.
I got to
hit 25 homers. Let's go. You got to get better.
And the people that I spoke with, surprised that was done in such secretive fashion, without any fanfare, but without any announcement, almost like they were trying to slide something through and buy people. And that's what still doesn't make sense to me. Is you don't have to announce the terms. A lot of teams don't announce terms, and some go about it this way, but it's just not the right way to do business, in my opinion, to your fan base.
Again, if you want full access to the Mariners offseason diamond table, again with Jim Duquette, Bill Kruger, Brad, Adam, Ryan Divish, Adam, Jude, become a full member. Members of the Pucks Posse community membership get full access to all VIP content. So if you want full access, make sure you become a Pucks Posse community member. QR code link is on your screen if you're watching the stream. Also log on to pucksports.com. You can also search Puck Sports on Patreon.com, and it's just an easy one-stop place. If you've never used Patreon, it's easy. You can download the app there to your phone. This is what the website looks like that I'm sharing on the stream, on the video stream. Again, there's the membership. You can choose what you want to, what type of membership you want. You can go month to month, or you can just sign up there for a year. And honestly, for the content that we give you, the full content of the Daily Puck Drop, the full content of all of our guests, football, we've added two new guests this week to our regular rotation now. Like today is the Dugar Report, the debut of the Dugar Report coming out today at 11 o'clock. Michael-Shawn Dugar of The Athletic. We finally roped in Dugar. And Dugar will be joining us for the rest of the football season, every single week talking Seahawks. The Dugar Report, 11 o'clock every Thursday with Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. Of course, co-host of the Man to Man podcast with our guy, Christopher Kidd. That, and then Lofa Tatupu, middle linebacker Seahawks, will be joining us on Fridays, as we'll get an inside look there on the Seahawks from a former player, Lofa Tupu, on Fridays. 1937 Farms, Cannabis Farms brings you that. Also Savage Brewery. So super excited to have Lofa being a part of the Puck Sports community. So again, you sign up to be a Pucks Posse member. This gets you full access to all of that content and also all of the VIP content. As you see there, we've got 2 of the shows listed. We did it in both audio and video form of the 2-hour plus off-season Mariners Diamond Table. Go check it out there on the Pucks Posse community membership page there on Patreon. And again, one-stop shop. Just go to pucksports.com to sign up. Do it for a month. Check it out. If you like it, great. If you don't, no problem. Or sign up there for a year. But just really proud of that. That was a fun project. We're going to have more stuff coming out that will be just exclusive to VIP members. But that was a lot of fun to do. And God, you think about it. Baseball season is almost here. I mean, God. I mean, what are we, November 21st? Yeah, it's almost here. February's right around the corner. It really is. And the football season is like gone. I mean, we're already 10 weeks into the NFL season. God. I mean, I'm telling you, I love college football. I mean, this year's been a little annoying with all the changes and all that. But, God, college football goes by way too fast. It just does. It's here, and it's gone, and it's over. We have 2 games, right, left in the season. Well, I guess 3, including the bowl game and all the playoffs. But, God, it just goes by, I don't know, too fast. I don't like it. And then the NFL's over like that. I feel like the NFL is going to be over real soon. All right. One little baseball note. A shout out to our guy, Mike Curto. If you didn't hear the news, Mike Curto, longtime Tacoma Rainiers broadcaster. It was 25 years. He stepped down and retired yesterday as the voice of the Tacoma Rainiers. Man, stinks. I love Mike. Love Mike to death. Love chatting with him all the time about baseball. And he's just a great guy. Very good broadcaster. And I don't know I haven't heard back from him or heard other than he just wanted to be done. And best of luck to whatever Mike does in his next career. Maybe, I don't know if it's an opportunity with the Mariners since the Dave Sims departure to the Yankees. Maybe there's something in the works there. I don't know. But if it's over for Mike and he's done calling games, he did a hell of a job. That's a hard gig. And he did something which I think is important, because I think I fall in that category as well. And probably some of you out there that are watching and listening to this, maybe you're in that same boat. Do what you love. Money is one thing, and I know you can earn as much money. You can earn money doing so many different things, and probably more money if you were doing a different line of work. But honestly, and it's great to earn money, and it's great to have security. Everyone would agree with that. But it's also important just to do what you love. And if you don't do what you love, then it's kind of miserable. You want to be able to, whatever type of work you're doing, that it doesn't feel like work. Like this is not work. This is never, I mean, I put in work, and it's time consuming and all that, but to sit here and to try to entertain you guys and to talk sports and life, yeah, that ain't hard. That's just not. It's not. And Mike got to do something for 25 years that he loved, and that's sensational, and that should be commended. And that takes a lot of sacrifice to do what he did. To all those men and women who were in the minor leagues calling baseball. I did it, not baseball, but I called, high school sports for 3-4 years right out of college, up and down the Oregon coast. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. And it's hard. And you got to have patience, and you've got to have a belief in yourself to stick with it, because it's hard, it's challenging. There are so few jobs. I mean, just think about whatever your line of work is. Sales, okay? Think of how many sales jobs there are in the world. How many sales jobs there are in the city where you live and work, okay? take Mike for an example. Mike is in a profession in which there are 30 plus jobs, 30 jobs at the highest level, 30. I mean, take, sports entertainment. If when we were in sports radio, you think of those jobs around the country. And if you're in like a top 12 market, I mean, you're talking about 150 jobs. So it's just hard. So if this ever gets back to Mike, we sent him a note already, but great career, great job, Mike. The Rainiers, baseball, Tacoma's going to miss you because you were awesome at it. We got into this discussion a little bit yesterday. Rob Staten and I talking about the Seahawks expectations and how much it's changed, and it has changed. It's amazing how week in and week out the expectations of your football season or your football team can just change like that. Last week, we're sitting there talking about, well, God, if they lose this game and then they lose the Arizona game, I'm like, tank the season, lose out, get a better draft pick. Maybe there's a quarterback you like and take him. I mean, that's where my mindset was a week ago. They go out, they win, and it just changes. I mean, it changes everything because now they are 4 quarters away. If they can beat Arizona on Sunday, of being in first place in the stupid NFC West. And it is stupid. It's dumb. It's dumb that they would be in first place. Dumb in a good way, all right? And credit to those guys, credit to the team, players, coaches, everyone. And it's what makes sports fun. We laugh all the time about it, how ridiculous and incredible at the same time that it can be. And I guess I would just say, and it's hard for me because I do it. I am a roller coaster of emotions with sports. I am up, down, up, down, up, down. I've always been that way. I can't change. I'm not going to change now at 48. But this, in a weird way, and I've referenced this a lot of times. It reminds me of the 2005 Sonics team in a weird way. You guys remember that team, right? No expectations. They weren't picked to be any good. Everyone kind of like threw them into the side. Then a bunch of, it was Rashard Lewis and Ray Allen and my favorite player, Danny Fortson, and kind of a bunch of misfits. Nick Collison, Luke Ridnour. Go back and look at the pictures of that team in the baggy shorts. Jesus, they're like down to their shoes. Point being is that there weren't any expectations, and I didn't have any expectations for the Seahawks going into the year. And then those expectations changed in a big way. And I just remember that. I remember that team, and it reminds me a little bit of them. It just reminds me of that team that you didn't think much about them. You didn't think they had much of a shot, and all of a sudden they kind of surprised you. And this team, again, it's just one game, so I'll overreact to it. It surprises you. And so we'll see. Now, we'll talk in a couple of weeks when they come back. If they lose this week, then we'll kill them again. But I'm up and down with the team all the time. All right, let's talk. Let's get you caught up on all things around the National Football League. He's ready. He's in the waiting room. He's America's best NFL reporter. It's Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network. Follow him on X at Mike Garafolo. His weekly appearance brought to you by Hartley & Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. Honesty, fairness, integrity. Contact Jamie Hartley at 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. Perfect spot to grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, catch the game. Check out Zogs on Facebook and Instagram for fall hours and event times. What's that hat? Miami Marlins?
No, it's hang on, it's way too loud. That's a guy, Manolo, who I haven't seen a lot on my Instagram feed. Manolo teaches golf is his Instagram handle. Has he not been posting lately?
I like that hat. I need to get that. That's a good looking hat, my friend.
Let's see. When was this?
Does he just do online? He does online.
He does these like teaching you how to, the basics of golf.
That
but he
always
does
works.
it in a exaggerated Argentinian. I don't know how he really speaks, but I think he's Argentinian. Really heavy accent.
Does he kind of he lays it on a little bit?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
And he does the double entendres, and his line when he does it is "Don't be nasty," right? He'll say something,
All right.
Get it, put it in the hole. Don't be nasty, like something like that.
I think I like this guy already.
Oh, he's great. He's great, and a lot of his stuff is just basic. Like, I remember one video was, you suck faster, basically. Like, let's move. Come on, like just move it along.
I hate slow players.
Yeah,
Gotta hate them.
yeah, it's bad.
Hate him. If he could play a round of golf with one person, who would it be?
Oof, one person.
Yeah, one person.
Non-golfer.
Being not anybody, whoever you want.
I mean, you'd want to play with a golfer at some point.
Play with let's just say golfer.
Golfer?
Yeah, a
Oh,
golfer.
Bryson would be a blast.
DeChambeau. All right.
I mean,
Did you see his latest video where he was hitting shots over his house?
no.
Okay, so he's hitting shots. He was doing this. He's trying to get a hole in one. So he's hitting this. He's hitting a 6 iron, 6 or 7 iron over his house, landing it on. And he's got this backyard of just it's golf porn. This damn backyard.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's unbelievable. This green with bunkers. So he's hitting it over he's got to carry his house over it and then land on the green. He's trying to get a hole in one. Mike, I'm telling you, he's hitting this. He's hitting like 6 or 7 shots. He's coming within. He can't see the hole. He's coming in within 5 feet of getting a hole in one.
Sick.
But the craziest thing about this, okay, I know he's a professional golfer, but every now and again they'll shank one. Okay, they do, right? He's hitting it over his house. I'll find the video.
I'll find it.
It's all glass, his house. What if he shanks one and just hits it into his house? I know he's a millionaire and he'll replace it.
Who was the pitcher? There was a pitcher during COVID, I believe, who broke a window. An MLB pitcher, if I'm remembering this correctly. Look it up while I'm giving it. He broke a window. He was trying to get loose or whatever. He just
now, okay. We're gonna get to football here in a second, but now I'm so obsessed with trying to find this video now.
My guy, I mean, you caught me off guard. Off the top of my head, and I know he just played here recently at Ridgewood Country Club, and was great about it, like pictures with everybody. Steph Curry, because he's really good, and it'd be nice to see that athleticism on display. He seems like a cool guy to kind of hang with for 18 holes. And this one's doable. I gotta play with Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz now, former Giants receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. I know Victor very well, and he lives in Jersey. Like, we should really have played already. Now that I say this, but he just posted another video today. He's just like, caption was, "I love golf," and it's him and his swing has gotten. I mean, he's a professional athlete. You'd expect it, but his swing has gotten incredibly better since he first started to post his golf video. So Victor and I will have to take in around one of these days.
Hey, for those who are here for just the NFL stuff, we're gonna get to it.
Are they commenting?
No, I'm just.
Oh, you just know that
they will later. Why, when I watch this, you guys don't talk NFL? Finally got to it 15 minutes in, because this is what we do. All right. So,
but at that point, they can fast forward anyway, right?
That's what I'm saying.
So who gives a shit? Okay,
here we go. Ready? I found it. Okay, you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch this guy.
Nice.
Look at this.
I might actually go in. Just do it. Just please.
Look at how close he's getting.
Oh, wow.
That's another good one. Bounce left. Just bounce left.
Look how close he's getting. It's within like 2 weeks.
But can he see it like on a video feed?
No.
That has a chance.
No. Look at that.
But he's saying roll, so he's got to have a general sense of.
Well, he's got a general idea where it's
That's
at. But I'm
left.
saying he can't see the hole from where he's hitting.
It's incredible.
Now, just wonder, one time he shakes it right into that.
Bounce
Look
right.
at that. Look at that backyard. What would you do to have that backyard?
I mean,
that's
I do
really
wonder
good.
if these guys ever get tired
Go
of playing
in.
golf. Like,
Would
ever
you?
get tired of golf? Huh?
Would you?
Short, hit the rocks.
We never
Okay,
do.
this is number
but
7.
That's not our entire existence, right? Like, and
That's right.
baby,
people will
come
say
on.
about my gig.
Just go in.
Oh boy, but there are days where I go, oh
look
man,
at that.
I just love to have the
Do
day
you
off.
see that?
That one almost went in, right?
Oh my God! I've watched this so many times now.
Our gig, you never get tired of talking sports. I'm sure there are days where you're like, I would love to play golf today, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder when it's there and it's just That's why
Maybe
I
not.
think
I don't know.
In addition to him being so good, why I would like to play with him is he seems to have that same enthusiasm for the game that we amateurs do, which I appreciate. You wouldn't get that with Koepka. You know what I mean? I don't think you would.
Koepka looks like he hates the sport.
Right. And he's talked about how
to him.
Yeah, and golf should be 13 holes, I think he said, because it's too long. It's just you don't want to play with that guy. You want to play with a guy who's like as if he's happy to be playing with you, you know? So I think I'd probably go Bryson.
So DeChambeau, yeah. All right, so mine is Angel Jimenez. Angel Miguel Jimenez.
Yeah, with the
God, I love him.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Miguel Angel Jimenez.
Miguel Angel Jimenez.
I was like saying his name wrong. That's who because thinking you were brought up the guy, the Argentinian. That's who I would. Yeah, him.
Cigar in the mouth. Well, he's Spanish, right?
Yeah, aren't they the same?
Cigar in the mouth, crazy ass warm up.
He's got the cigar. He's drinking wine all the time. He's doing the crazy warm ups. Looks like he has fun when he's done playing golf, and he's got beautiful women on his arms. It
was Darren Clark. I went to the Open. What year was it? 2020. I think I was still covering the Giants. I want to say 2008, 2009, the U.S. Open at Bethpage. Yeah. And I went there to we sat by a hole, and it was a par 3, and we kind of saw the groups come through. We did a little roaming. That's why I hate golf in person. You go there to kind of hang out. You're not going to. It's just not a good experience. Right, exactly. So, but we hung by a par 3, and Darren Clark came up, cigar, just threw it, other side of the green, putted out, picked it up, right back in the mouth. Which he's now slimmed down a whole lot since those days.
Was
he
it a
actually
cigar
looks better.
Or like a cigarette though? He was
a cigar.
Okay.
He had a cigar. He threw it across the green. Okay, as he threw it on the fringe on the other side. And I'm thinking to myself, so this isn't the local muni. This is the U.S. Open. He just chucks the cigar across the green. I was like, that was awesome. I don't think he's like very. He slimmed down. He looks great his older years. If you haven't seen him lately,
that's why I love Charlie Hull. Do you know who she is?
Charlie who?
Charlie Hull. She's a LPGA golfer.
No.
Oh God, now I'm gonna have to pull this up. She is my favorite LPGA golfer. First of all, because she's hot and she smokes.
Smoking hot.
She's smoking hot. Where is she at? Yeah, here she is. You got this is so stupid. Sorry, people, but now I'm down this rabbit hole and I can't stop. Here
I had a great.
Here she is. Look at her. She just has got a dagger.
She's got
a dagger in her lip every time she plays, Mike.
That's
every
unbelievable.
Single time. Look at her. I mean, she's a smoke show.
Wow.
She's just every round she's smoking. And she went one of the last tournaments she was in, she didn't have a light, and so she went into the crowd. It's like, yeah, can I get a light? It's just great. All right, let's talk some football. We got to do it. How surprised were you? I mean, listen, last week I'm writing the Seahawks off. I want everyone out, and they won the game. How did they win? What the hell happened?
First year coach, general manager that's built consistent winners for 15 years.
Want them all out.
Get them out.
It's a great win.
It was a great win.
It's unbelievable.
Niners got nobody to blame other than themselves for coughing up games against the Cardinals and the Seahawks at home. Which is not to say the Seahawks don't deserve the win. I'm just saying you can't have losses like that. Although the Cardinals game, if I'm recalling correctly, was when Moody got hurt. And if he hadn't, maybe things would have turned out differently that game. They had to go for like a 4th and 26 or something like that. I give the Seahawks credit. And the more that went on in the fourth quarter, I'm like, these guys are going to win this game. Mm-hmm. And Geno's capable of it. He's shown the ability to do it when he's with the Jets. Covered that game in, I think it was Atlanta, and he led a comeback in that game. And that was the back page of the Daily News, "A Star is Born," which has now become a running joke every time there's a Jets quarterback that does a little something. They do "A Star is Born" headline. They've got about 4 or 5 of them now, if I'm not mistaken. And so he's shown the ability to do that. You give him some openings, he'll get it done. And this is why it's when we have these conversations about Geno, and I go, "Are you ever going to win a Super Bowl with Geno?" And we agree that no, you're probably not. But then he does this, and it's like there's so much worse out there.
I know, but that is so true. There is so much worse out there. And then you know what? Did you see the clip? He did a little bit of the car wash. He went on the Richard Sherman podcast. See that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I'll play it for you. He was on the Richard Sherman podcast where, like, Sherman is acting now as, like, his agent.
Gotta pay you your money. I mean, Daniel Jones just went on the bench getting $40 million, and people was arguing about the $30 million you was getting. Dak just got 60. I don't even know why I'm wasting my time asking this question because I know what you're going to say.
There you go. You got to earn it, man. Like everything I ever got in my life, I earned. Whatever God has for me, man, I'm willing to go earn it. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm up there with the top tier quarterbacks. My numbers speak for me. My film says it too. But the main thing I'm trying to do is win these next 7 games.
Well, I'm going to speak for you, Gino. It's Seattle. Pay the man his money, so he can be here for the foreseeable future. He's not getting no high draft pick while he's here because he's playing too well. So you might as well appreciate him while he here, pay him his money so he can continue to lead these men. They respect him, they love him, pay him his money, and then maybe get him an offensive lineman or 2 in the draft. But that's a story for a different day.
You might need to be my agent, man. We got to talk after this, man. We got to figure that out.
I'm happy to be your spokesman.
All right, so he's doing that. Because he had been, fairly silent on his contract, other than the one time when he responded to what you told me before the season started, where he said, yeah, my representatives did reach out to him and whatever, it didn't go anywhere, but okay. And then that was probably the last time he talked about his contract. But, I mean, you're right. Performances like that will only benefit him in the offseason and will only raise the stake for him and back up that he should be paid.
I mean, and Daniel Jones has become the barometer for every quarterback that outperforms Daniel Jones. It's like, he's here, you're here. Why? Don't understand it. You should be up there. And, yeah, and the more that the Giants have kind of hung in there on Daniel Jones and waited for that moment where he, I said it the other day, Brian Dable, after the day of the benching, said, well, he was upset. Well, it's a little late, Daniel. You should have been upset a lot sooner. And I know he was upset. What I'm saying is that should have showed up in his play. And that's what they were hoping for. It's like, well, we made a run at these quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels and Drake May were their guys. Didn't happen. Couldn't get up to 2 or 3. Okay, if we had gotten that would have been great. The alternative is this guy's pissed off and now starts to play better. Didn't happen. So, at this point, and they're in a tough spot too, because Tommy DeVito potentially could win some games for them like he did last year to get them out of that top draft position. So where do you go from there? I mean, I don't think that they went to Tommy DeVito over Drew Lock because they thought that they were going to lose more games with Tommy than Lock. I just think that they needed a reason for the home crowd to get excited, needed the team to get a little spark. And that's why they went to him.
Because of, I get
it. But back to Gino, he did a great job.
I'll say this, though. Had the Giants shown Locke's wife, then maybe they'd be excited to see Locke play. Okay, continue with Gino.
Is she smoking hot too? As in hot and smoking?
When we're done, you can, you can just look her up.
We're good. Yeah. So, and look, this Cardinals team still being underestimated, still being, and Jonathan Gannon, when he got the job, a couple of weird video clips out there.
Oh.
I saw comparisons to Michael Scott and Kendall Roy. If you don't know who those characters are, they're a bit goofy, a little off, but they have bought in. He's got them believing, and they're cooking right now. And that quarterback is incredibly dangerous. More than he's, or not more, as much as he's ever been. So it's going to be a really interesting, tough match, especially with everything going on at the facility this week. And by the way, I hope everybody's safe. That bomb cyclone that happened
crazy,
out there.
Man. Like 700,000 people without power.
It's nuts, including the Seahawks, which they still don't have it as of a couple of minutes ago, from what I understand. There's no hot water there for the players, from what I gather. Listen, I get it. You're not exactly shoveling coal. But still, this is the kind of stuff that you want to be comfortable and everything you need for your preparation. So it's a little bit of adversity that they're going to try to overcome here. Practice on Friday might be at the stadium, from what I understand, depending on what happens with the power situation.
Do you know if the stadium is now that you talk?
I guess
about
fine.
This,
I mean,
the stadium is okay.
I assume so, because it was mostly in the Renton area where people are without power.
Well,
or is it Seattle
it's weird. It's like where we live in Seattle. Like we basically live, like a suburb of downtown Seattle, like 5 miles away. Like Seattle is fine. It's like down in Renton, up north, on the east side. Those were all the areas affected.
Yeah. Yeah. So so we'll see. We'll see how the week goes on. But look, they're playing for first place. And this goes back to our
so dumb.
What's so dumb?
It's dumb that it's just because it's dumb. It's dumb in a good way. It's dumb that they're playing for first place. Because,
why is it? Define dumb.
Well, it's dumb. Like it's funny dumb. It's because I think last week when we going into the Niners game, most of us out here thought, well, they're going to lose that game, and then they're going to lose to Arizona. They're not playing well. Their offensive line's a mess. The guy retires Connor Williams retires, halfway through the week. You're cutting linebackers. It was a mess, Mike.
It's not their fault. He had to retire for personal reasons.
But no one gave him a chance against the Niners. No one.
But this is when we had this conversation last week and the week before about Schneider. It's like, okay, this offseason was about hiring McDonald. They tried to find pieces that fit. They didn't even bring in Patrick Queen. I mean, they pursued him, but they didn't go,
Why?
as far.
Too much?
Yeah. Yeah. Which probably tells you a little bit about, it's not like McDonald was like, I go back to Rex Ryan when they brought in CJ Mosley with the Jets when he had him in Baltimore. And it was like, we got to do everything we possibly can to get him here. And they paid a ton of money for him. Not CJ Mosley. Who was the linebacker way back? Was it Bart? It must have been Bart Scott. Okay. They were waiting outside his house at 12 midnight because back then free agency used to start at midnight and Rex and somebody else were waiting outside his house. And then at midnight, they started the pursuit of him. Bananas. This wasn't that type of situation. So they took some economical approaches when came to linebacker, when it came to offensive line. And some of these guys went and got huge money elsewhere. What did Jordan Brooks get from the
a ton,
Dolphins? Like 10 million?
I'll pull it up.
Yeah. So they made some and so my point is you still got to look at that and give a team like this with a general manager that's had this sustained success the benefit of the doubt that he's going to say, okay, that's too much for a certain guy. We can get similar production here. Mm-hmm. And, they got Leonard Williams done, which priced themselves out of a few other things. So
it was 3 years, 26 for Brooks.
What's that?
3 years, 26.
326. I must have gotten reported as 330 if I'm, because we're guilty as charged. Agent.
Round up.
I've told agents all the time when they leak the numbers, I got no problem reporting the max value, but you need to tell me up to X amount or whatever. Okay. Because then people later on, Mike Florio loves to do, it's not what it was reported. Well, if I said maximum value of 30 million over 3 and it came in at 26, I at least said to you maximum at the time. But some agents will tell you, 3 years, 30 million. Yeah. You report it. A couple days later, you find out that's not accurate. And I've gone back to the agent and like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, no, whatever. Like, dude, come on. Because
but back to Geno though. They're going to have to do something with him because you kind of said it like you and Sherman in that clip said it himself. And to a degree, he's right. Like, if you don't do it, there are no options. Well, they got nothing. I mean, there is nothing where are they going to turn to? They're almost in a way forced to bring him back.
So go back to Jordan Love being drafted. Go back to Lamar Jackson being drafted. Go back to Joe Flacco being drafted. These were not top half of the first round draft picks. And at times, not even a need. Okay? You got to do that. If you've got sustained success, that's where you've got to find them. And they really haven't existed necessarily. Like Mahomes was sort of in that realm. Where'd he go? 9th or 11th or 13th or whatever it was. The Bears tried it with Justin Fields right there. Like that's going to have to be their zone to find a guy. And it's not necessarily, and listen, the ones, as I'm saying this, the ones up top in the top 5 have not hit at times. Sam Darnold and Trey Lance and all these guys. Zach Wilson. That's why Joe Douglas is unemployed right now.
But it feels like more than ever they're getting overdrafted like lately. Like, and guys that most of these people know.
Because what happens when you don't, like Joe Douglas got fired for a number of reasons, but because he never got the quarterback position right. Talent everywhere.
God, it's so hard.
He had the 2 rookies of the year 2 years ago. 2 rookies, Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. Breece Hall. Like, I could start throwing way more, but the quarterback position wasn't right. So that's why 2 things. One, when you get a shot to take one, you take it. And two, when you're in the realm that the Seahawks are in, it's kind of hard to say goodbye to Geno because you don't necessarily have that other option. And like I said, it's so much worse out there. I'm watching Daniel Jones on a weekly basis.
Right.
I mean, I'm watching Aaron Rodgers on a weekly basis right now. I don't know what happened there. I mean, other than age, just really fell off a table. It really, and this is my other thought the other day. How amazing was it what Tom Brady did before he finally fell off a cliff? Like to push that, that point of no return into his mid-40s was unbelievable.
I mean, really, what? I mean, what? There's just some freak guys out there that are able to do it. Yeah, you're right. With Brady, it was just, just something you'll probably never see again. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, not to play at his age and at the level that he was playing at.
You might. He was maniacal about everything.
I think you have to be, right? I mean, that's what probably cost
to do that. You have to be maniacal. To do that, it's got to be every part. Would he have put ayahuasca in his body? Probably not, right? Because he has no idea what the long-term effects are of it.
Okay, so what does Rodgers do now then?
He'll land somewhere.
Where? Why would you? Why would
Giants.
You take that?
There you go. Boom. There you go. I just gave you one.
Giants.
I'm just saying there's going to be plenty out there in need of a quarterback this upcoming season.
Do you want that headache?
Sometimes you gotta take it on.
You know, I thought of immediately. Do you think they would take it on? I'm just curious. Because I'm wondering if they're sold on him.
Who?
Would the Niners do it?
No.
Okay.
No. Hell no. No
Why do you say hell no? Why
because
no chance?
They're going to have to
say
extend
no chances. 1% chance.
They're going to have to extend Purdy for an exorbitant amount of money this offseason.
You think they want to?
Do I think they want to? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I think he runs that offense incredibly well. He can move. He makes sharp decisions. He reads the field. Brock Purdy anywhere else in the NFL, not anywhere else, but most elsewhere in the NFL you never heard of him, right? Brock Purdy lands with the Niners and it just comes to fruition. I'm very impressed with what he's able to do.
But honestly, where would Rodgers go? I mean, I'm looking at the teams right now. Okay, he's not going to go anywhere in the AFC East. AFC North, I mean, Cleveland. You see him in a Browns uniform.
If he wants to play.
Maybe he begs Bernie Kosar, can I wear 19 again?
If he wants to play.
Okay. AFC South.
There'll be options there. Why wouldn't Tennessee want him? There's no way you're staying committed to Will Levis.
Why would he want to play for Tennessee? Just to play again?
This is like when coaches take coaching jobs. There's only 32 of them. And most aren't available on a given year.
This would be like, I mean, if he thought it was shitty in New York, I mean, imagine going to Tennessee. There's nothing there.
Well, anywhere he goes, I'm the team. I go, you're coming, and you're coming on our terms. Okay, we're not letting you assistant GM here, which is amazing because earlier this year on McAfee he said, it's amazing the power people think I have. Yeah. You do, dude. You do. Stop.
I don't know. It's I'd be interesting because I just it doesn't seem like there's a lot of teams out there that would be like clamoring to bring him in. And if those teams that do need a quarterback, they are more than just a quarterback away. And that's why, just to bring it back to Geno for a second, and I think you said this before, like when they do get in this offseason to start discussing something with him, if they do, they don't have to, but if they do and want to bring that cap number down, it's and he's not a free agent, but it's not like he's holding out for a bunch of suitors, because if you add someone like Geno Smith, don't you agree that you would have to be that one quarterback away from being a real Super Bowl contender? And who's out there that's a quarterback away from that?
I don't think it's a quarterback away. I think it's let's go back to the Giants. Okay, you can even go Tennessee, but it's a little earlier. It's definitely at the right spot for the Giants. They need a quarterback that's capable, that's going to win games. They need to buy time. Assuming John Mara doesn't make a move, okay? They need a quarterback that can come in and get us to the playoffs. Geno can do that. Geno's a great option for that. Geno showed he's a great option for that. He's continuing to show it right now.
But he already did that. Would he want to go back to that city?
To that organization. I'm not. Listen, Geno's still a Seahawk. I'm just giving you you're asking me.
We're trying to run him out.
Well, but they were also, in a sense, bidding against themselves a couple of years ago.
Well, yeah. Don't you think they'll be in the same situation?
I think, yes, conceivably they will. And then it comes down to, well, he's probably got in his mind, well, they're making 60. I should at least be in the 40s. And, at Seattle at some point, it's that when Jacksonville signed Nick Foles off the Super Bowl, not a lot of options for him, signed for like $22 million, which was a decent number at the time. And I was kind of like, well, the number can't come in way below that. You can't sign Geno for, what they sign up, 25 a year. You can't sign him for 20, right? And then expect the locker room to be like, well, this is the guy we're riding with, right? So you're negotiating against that sometimes, right? A little bit. And I'm just throwing numbers out there. I'm just saying the numbers got to be respectable enough to be like, okay, well, this is the guy we still believe in if you're going to go down that road.
So what's respectable? Because he's at 25 a year.
It used to be that. That was the number. 25 was respectable.
A good chunk of money.
What's it now? 30?
Well,
because the number's gone up into the 60s now.
Yeah, Rodgers and Carr at 37. Then we get in the next year, Mahomes is 45.
I would put that in that Foles contract, that Geno,
Lamar's 52.
Yeah. How much is the cap going up? Are we going to have another explosion like we did last year? That's another question.
So he probably wants to be in the 40s, right?
I don't know. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I would think that would be, if he thinks he's in the 50s, that ain't happening, right?
Well, if he probably looks at Kirk Cousins, who's at 45 a year.
It's pretty high.
And he probably says, I'm better than Kirk Cousins.
Well, you got to find somebody to pay it to you, though,
That's such a ton of money, man. Oh, but they're in that situation. They need it, and I don't think they're convinced that Howell's a guy, unless maybe secretly they are. And then the quarterback situation. They're probably not going to be bad enough to, if they even wanted one of the quarterbacks in the draft. You brought up the Giants. Would the Giants just tank and say, screw it, let's do a package deal, Deion Shador?
No. No.
Are you think NFL people are worried about that little league dad forcing where Shador goes so then he can get hired as well?
Are they worried about it? No, I'll tell you why they're not worried about it. Because last year, Jaden Daniels, there was smoke. It was poo-pooed afterward, but there was a legit, do we want to go to Washington type, that existed. Okay. And Washington was never going to buckle to that. They were never going to be swayed. They were taking them no matter what.
But you're getting a coach now, though. It's a package deal. It's the Sanders package. Deion and Shador. If you want
maybe
Shador,
not. He just got the number 2 overall commit, right? Just now today.
Yeah, he did on McAfee's show.
Which is not. The kid can change his mind at any point.
Of course. Right? And these guys, and they're all, remember we say it all the time, they're all professional liars. So Deion can lie to the kid's face, I'll be here next year.
Well, they've been professional liars since the players have been amateurs. So
sure,
we know
right.
that hasn't changed.
That didn't mean anything. It's
just giving them more power and freedom to do what the players need to do, which is good.
But if they go in next season and they're like, hey, we're a package deal.
Yeah.
If you hire me, you got to draft him.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun offseason, dude. I'm not lying to you. This is going to be a thing.
I can't decide if I want him with the Cowboys or if I want him with the Raiders. I think I want him now with the Raiders.
Why?
Because I just think it fits the whole thing. Him in Las Vegas and Shador, and then, of course, was Brady there. And they have a friendship and a connection. I know Brady worked out with Shador and has given him a bunch of advice, and that'd be sensational. And then Davis with the awful haircut and seeing that up there, just perfect. Look at have Mark Davis in the middle with Deion to his left and Brady to his right. What an image! What an image, man! Come on, you would sign up for that, wouldn't you? Yeah, you would.
No, I want Antonio Pierce to get a real shot there.
Oh, he's out.
Hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah. Does it matter the Bills beat the Chiefs?
No, and the Bills will tell you that. It only matters is that they gained another win on their record, and they were quick to be like, well, because we beat them. It gives us you lost to them in the playoffs. Oh, we beat them, so we might get home field for you lost to them at home too. It's
doesn't matter.
There's no upside to that other than play good football, beat a good team, advance your record, try to get home field, be great. No, that's it. Yeah. That's the vibe up there.
Steelers do it again. Did they show the blueprint one more time how to beat that team in the postseason? Ravens last week. They made him throw. They made him be a passer. Took away the running game.
Yeah, but they're good on defense though. It's you don't just like, oh, there's the blueprint. Like if Cincinnati tries to do it and Lou Anarumo's got the blueprint, not the blueprint. He's got good schemes to go against Lamar Jackson to keep him in check. Their players aren't good enough to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
So, that I hate to call it a blueprint because it's just like, oh, anybody can build it. No, I mean, there's
you got to execute it.
There's contractors who get paid a lot of money to build houses because I don't know how to do it, So
shocker.
There's still that. Speaking of the Steelers, going to be an interesting game tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland pulls out an upset here. I got a feeling on this one.
Why? Why do you think the Browns?
Why? Because they're have good players.
Knock off Russell. He's drinking the water. He's visiting the children's hospitals again.
Because they have good players, and they got the Steelers in a short week coming off an emotional game. Okay. This feels like.
All right.
This feels like Cleveland's got 2 wins, I think.
What's the line on that game? Yeah, they're 2-8.
And somebody was talking about them potentially winding up with the number 1 overall pick, and I was like, Myles Garrett is on that team, right? They're unbelievable offensive linemen on that team, including Wyatt Teller, their guard. That's a mauler. You've got talent, Denzel Ward. You got talent all over the place on this team. And Jameis is going to give you a 5 touchdown and a 5 interception game. You know that.
I love him.
Yeah, I mean he's making that. He'll make it fun tonight.
Okay.
So down the stretch, they're going to win.
The line,
huh?
3.5.
I'm just telling you who might win the game.
I know. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna ride with you. You and I are gonna do it together.
No, I'm not.
But no. But without you really doing anything, I'm just saying in spirit. Let's go Browns plus the points tonight, plus the 3.5. Total's 36.5. Good God, it's 38 degrees and raining. God, that's miserable. That is awful. You don't want to be at that game. You just don't want to be covering that. All right, that's it. What are you doing tonight? Are you on the network?
Yeah, I'll be on our game day kickoff coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. Eastern. What's Thursday? Monday is 7. Monday is 7. Thursday is 6, I believe. So 3 o'clock your time. And if I'm not on, just leave it on and wait till I'm on.
Okay. All right. Go look up Melanie Newman, and then also go watch more videos of Bryson DeChambeau.
6 p.m. They're the headshots. 6 p.m. Eastern.
The headshots.
3 Pacific.
Talk to Rap Sheet about that headshot. What the hell's he doing? Kind of looks like a goober.
He's all right. He is a goober. He's our goober.
All right. Thanks, Mike. We'll talk to you not next week. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, you as well. Happy Thanksgiving. There he is, Mike Garafolo, NFL Network. All brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance. Trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. Fairness, honesty, integrity. Contact Jamie Hartley, folks. 20. No, that's the wrong number. 253-565-8700. Also, big thanks to Zogs on Fox Island. Perfect spot to grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, catch the game. Check out Zogs on Facebook and Instagram for fall hours and events time. All right. It is the debut. We had him on last week or 2 weeks ago. It's the debut of the Dugar Report. More NFL, more Seahawks talk. Michael-Shawn Dugar will be joining us every Thursdays now, right after Garafolo. Of course, you know Mike. You love Mike. He works for the Athletic. He is the co-host of the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast. He is a new father. He's got things going on. Mike and I had to record last night because he's on baby duty on Thursday morning. Michael-Shawn Dugar, the Dugar Report, every Thursday after Mike Garafolo here on pucksports.com, talking all things Seattle Seahawks. I've convinced him to come back and do it again. In fact, he's back for the rest of the season. This is a treat not only for me, it's a treat for the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, from The Athletic, it's Michael-Shawn Dugar, covers the Seahawks, co-host of the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast, where you can find anywhere where you get your podcast. We're going to call the Dugar Report. I just think that's great. It's just got a great catch to it, a great feel to it. The Dugar Report. Michael-Shawn Dugar is going to be with us every week here on Thursdays, giving us a Seahawks report for the rest of the season. I'm glad the guilt trip worked.
Well, I love being on with you, Puck. Also, that when you have a kid under 2, scheduling anything is just so tough. Naps, food, date nights, laundry, let alone work. So,
did you say date night? You're getting a date night still in?
Yeah. Well, we try to. We try to. It's tough. It is tough. Me and my wife already work conflicting schedules. So on top of me traveling every other weekend and then just being exhausted, it's I can't wait for the off season. Where I can really spend some time.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Heading into the Niners game, I thought, you'll be getting a kickstart in your offseason pretty quickly. How that game's probably going to go, and then how the Arizona game's going to probably go, and we'll talk. We'll be doing the rest of our visits talking about the draft. Lo and behold, Mike, they go and win the damn game, and now they've changed all the expectations for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's weird how much of a swing these games have. In terms of just psychological momentum and all that stuff too, but just like literally the math on it. Like, for instance, I'll read you something from our we have like a guy who does the equivalent of ESPN's FPI that measures like the projections of their odds or stuff like that. So this week, right, I checked it for this week. He says, and he runs this model like 1,000 times and gets the whatever the nerds do to get these numbers. I really don't know. Yeah, well, he's got the methodology at the bottom of the page, which is great because, I'm not going to read it, but I just trust him. So he says with a win, the Seahawks playoff odds go up from 11% to 21%, and their odds of winning the division go up from 8 to 16. So those double. He says with a loss this Sunday, they go down the playoff odds to 4%, and their division winning odds go down to 2%. I think that's the biggest swing in any game. Any team's playoff odds this week. The Cardinals have a pretty big swing too, but those are the Seahawks specific odds. That's huge in week whatever we're in.
Imagine if they get this win.
Mm-hmm. And I think 2 of the other teams play NFC games this week. I think the Rams at the Eagles, and then the Niners are the Packers.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So some other NFC games this week. It's the division truly is wide open. I don't know how likely the Seahawks are to win it, but winning on Sunday against the Niners literally changed the math on everything.
I didn't think they'd go down there and win. I just thought that with everything that was going on, fact is that, they got ran out of their own building, without Christian McCaffrey. They couldn't stop their running game. He was back. You've got you got your center quitting halfway, during the week. Abe Lucas is back, but who knew how he was going to play, and the whole linebacking situation. It's a credit to them. It's credit to coaching staff, credit to the players to just kind of, buckle it down and turn out the best performance they had this season.
Yeah, I was surprised. What stood out to me that week, and then the week after that, this week, I guess, was how Mike Macdonald pretty much. He doesn't subscribe to the whole Pete Carroll treat everything like a championship opportunity. He's willing to acknowledge, like, hey, some games, like, this is something. Like, we can acknowledge, we can be human and say, this is something. They've been kicking our ass. I'm tired of them kicking our ass, and we can treat this week like a bunch of guys who are tired of getting their ass kicked. There's some drawbacks potentially to that. You can play down to your opponent in some instances, but this week, that Niners week, I think it was necessary. If they had gone in like, just another game, it's a division one, so it matters more, but we're treating this like every other week. I'd have looked at those guys and like, this BS. Yeah. Particularly the guys who had been part of, like, Tyler had lost to them, I think, all 6 times, like physically been on the field for all 6 games.
Right.
In the losing streak. DK, I think Charles Cross. Like, there's some dudes who, like Charles, for instance, before Sunday, he never even beaten the Niners in his career. I didn't even know what that felt like before Sunday. So I'm glad that I thought it was very interesting. And I actually am on that side of the philosophy there of, you can treat some games like they're like, this does matter. There's something to rivalries. There's something to the psychological effect of, standing up to the school bully, so to speak, which what the Niners were to those guys for 3 years.
What was it? I'm just trying to think back. What was the messaging? How was this tone different leading up to that game?
It was just as simple as, like, this is a big game, just that small,
just acknowledging it.
Yeah, hearing Pete so much, this is a championship opportunity every week, which was fine. I don't, Pete gave the backstory on how he got to that. I think he hyped up a Notre Dame game one time and they went there and got shellacked. So he was like, never again.
And
so
I get it though. And I've always understood his approach, but I also see the other side to it, like McDonald, like you're saying.
Yeah, because and then it's right. You can apply it situationally, like every game. Some games legitimately like are big because of the math. The division may be on the line or whatever. You maybe shouldn't hype up a primetime game just because that's a little dangerous of a slope to get into. But yeah, man, your division rival's been kicking your butt, punching you in the mouth, just beat you at the crib on Thursday Night Football not too long ago. Yeah, it's just the simple fact. McDonald was like, yeah, this is a big game. We need this. Even this week, he was like, these are playoff games now. We're treating this like playoff games, not just because every game is a playoff game, legitimately because he's like, I can see the standings. We can't afford to lose, so we got to treat every game like it is our last because of the hole we've dug ourselves. Mike McDaniel in Miami is using similar psychology with his team. He's like, yo, we sucked for like a month, so now we can't lose. Everybody lock in, which is the right mindset to have because it's true. That's part of the math of it.
What surprised you most about the game?
That they were the more physical team, which they had not been in any of the matchups. Run defense in particular, there's some scheme to it for sure. But after like the first couple drives by each team, no one's reinventing the wheel with their plays, right? They're either running outside zone, inside zone, gap stuff. Maybe there's some pullers here, like power. There's only so much stuff you run in the NFL. All of it is predicated on, for the most part, moving someone off the ball. And on defense, it's predicated on getting off your block. It's not rocket science. And to be able to do that consistently and not allow explosives, I thought that was really impressive. I guess I'm focusing more on the defense because their run game did nothing. But I just thought that was the part that really stood out, especially when I went back and watched the film. It was the fact like, oh, they played like a team tired of losing. You could feel it, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Offense, you could too, particularly later in the game. But yeah, defensively, I could almost feel the desperation watching it live, talking to guys after the game, and then even watching the film later. You could really see guys where the defense was not going to let them lose that game. They did some schematic stuff too. That helped a lot, and it helped that they didn't have Kittle, that they didn't have Ayuk, two of the Seahawks killers, pretty much in this rivalry. But I think just the effort to be the more physical team, to punch them in the mouth first, it really stood out from the first drive when the Niners went 3-and-out.
Yeah, I think since the Denver game, they tackled well. Other than, Jennings was a beast and was just running through tackles left and right. And he just was more physical. I don't think it was missed tackles other than him just being a physical wide receiver, but it was I think the sure tackling, Mike. I think the gang tackling nature of it. I think those two linebackers being in the right spots and making plays, the defensive line, collectively, they just were swarming to the football. And, I don't know if it was, hey, man, we got a reality check, the week before. They took a guy who was our leading tackler and they threw him out. They threw him out outside and just out off the porch and said, see you later. We don't need you. And maybe that was the wake-up call. I don't know. It's you're inside that locker room. You talk to those guys. Did you get a sense of that was kind of a shot to those guys, what they did there with Dotson?
It varied because some guys have just seen a little bit more. Some guys, like if you were here since 2017, so pretty much like Jared Reed and Tyler Lockett, you saw them try and trade Jeremy Lane, and then the trade get shut down because Jay Lane couldn't pass a physical. He was supposed to be in the Dwayne Brown trade. And then I think Sherm got hurt, so they needed Jay Lane to start. Not only are you still on the team after we tried to trade you, now we need you to start on Monday Night Football against the Falcons, which all happened within like 3 weeks, Funky stuff like that where you try to break up with someone, but they won't move out or give your key back.
But Mike, didn't even Reed admit that he had never seen something like that?
He probably hasn't seen your leading tackler get punted, but when he said that he hadn't seen anything, I'm like, dude, you saw that Jay Lane stuff, which was weird, But so it varied, and like Ernest Jones, he said, I've been traded twice in the last 3 months, so nothing surprises me anymore. So his perspective is a little different, you know, and some guys have been on some really dysfunctional organizations. You know, Leo and J Love are coming from the Giants. So they've seen a little bit of dysfunction. The same with Gino. Gino played for both New York teams, which they were both dysfunctional when he was there. Gino literally got his first and only start in New York, and they fired his coach the next morning,
Right.
you know, for starting him. So he's seen a little bit of everything, not to mention how he lost his job with the Jets. So talking to different guys, it all just kind of varied. The young dudes were like, yo, that's something. And then some of the vets were like, hey, man, it's a business. You know, they all just saw Jerome Baker get punted on, you know, about a month ago. So it varied. Everyone was it was a wake up call for some guys. It was like a welcome to the NFL for some of the young bucks to see, like, oh my God, you know. But I really think the way they played, you could see after the game too, like they really wanted to shut the Niners up, because it's not just like the Niners were beating them too; they were talking shit the whole time. Like Lenore talks, even Fred talks a little bit. Their linemen talk. Juwan Jennings don't shut up. You know, I've had Seahawks players for years tell me they hate that guy. I'm like, what's up with the Niners? Who you hate the most? I'm like 15. Yeah. I want to kill 15. You know, and that's been that case for years. And that's Juwan Jennings. So I think it was like the end of a movie where they had been getting punked. You know, and they finally stood up before the credits started rolling. That's what it felt like more than anything last week.
Yeah. It was a hell of a performance. I really thought, I don't know, looking back to the game, and we were talking, God, I think this was with Danny Kelly from The Ringer. And we got down the rabbit hole of talking about like the LOB and talking about Earl Thomas. I think Earl Thomas was in the news, not for the Hall of Fame stuff. I think we brought up the Josina Anderson interview and he's alive. I mean, I haven't heard from Earl Thomas since he was having a three-way with his brother. I mean, that was like the last thing I'd ever heard of from Earl Thomas. And you know, Danny brought up something. He's like, you know, what's been missing is that attitude that group played with, that bravado, that swagger that they had, that they brought to the field. And he goes, what stood out to me, you know, the game is that the guy that's the closest to that and and it's been missing for a while is Devin Witherspoon. You see a lot of that in Witherspoon, how he carries himself to how those guys used to carry themselves on the field. And I thought it was just a great point because they have been missing that alpha dog male for a while on that defense. And, you know, normally maybe it's a bigger player in stature, what have you. I think it can be anyone. But to me, it's been missing. And I think Witherspoon brings that to that defense. Not only does he bring it, and he brought it, you know, that game against San Francisco, Mike, but I mean, he was everywhere. He was making play after play after play. And this is a guy, right? I mean, who's been talked about from some that not having the best of seasons. But boy, he was one of the best players, if not the best player on that field on Sunday. Yeah,
I think what's been missing is the attitude, but also the performance too. Like you can't just talk shit and suck. You know, like no one wants to hear that. You can't bark at the other team when you're down 18. You know,
that's
you
what
just
I do.
Can't. You got to make plays for people to really respect. You know, the attitude. You know, you can't do your sack dance if you don't get a sack. You can't taunt the other team. You can't do the Steph Curry celebration if you're Geno until you score. You know, they had to back it up. I think a lot of these guys have that attitude. You know, I know Jay Reed has it. Ken Walker has it too. You know, I know DK has it. He wants to fight one of these guys pretty much every time he plays the Niners. He was willing to scream. That's why he screamed at Grubb last time they played them. He's like, dude, I can run by these dudes. Trust me, I got this, you know. But he didn't get to run by those guys, so he didn't get to, talk his stuff. So I think it's a combination of the two things. I think a lot of dudes have that in them. It'll come out of them when they are performing as well. I think Julian Love is quietly one of those dudes. Like he's off the field, he's super buttoned up. Reminds me of Cam Chancellor a little bit, where it's like the nicest dude in the world type of dude to like help you to your car. Like if he sees someone struggling on the side of the road, he'll probably pull over and help you push your car. Like Julian Love's that type of dude. And then he gets on the field and he's trying to just knock heads off, you know? But if he's not knocking heads off, he can't really strut his stuff, you know? So I think they had to put it together, you know, and I thought that's what they did a really good job of. And then Ernest Jones seems to be like that too. You know, one of my homies who's like an avid film guy. He watches the whole league, so he didn't get a chance to watch the Seahawks until like Tuesday. He texted me Monday when he saw the numbers. He was like, "Yo, what'd the Seahawks do?" I texted him back. I said, 13 is the real deal. It's Ernest Jones. I said, when you turn on that film, you're going to see 13 all over the place. And he brings them attitude and toughness as well, because he's a ball player, very much like Spoon. The game is just natural to him, and they were feeding off him on Sunday as well.
You know, it's weird with him, and I think this is where analytics and the numbers and the eyes, right? It doesn't always tell the same story. Because I'm with you. I watch. There's two parts of this, I guess, question. It's multiple parts, but you know, I think the extension talk with him is a little premature. I understand where it's coming from. It's 3 games. I think we need to relax just a little bit. But I understand why people want to go there. The other thing, though, with that, which is not really the point, but you watch him and he makes plays all over the field. You're just sitting on your couch watching him. You're like, oh, there's another play. There's 13 again, 13 again. You pull up the numbers and you look at like PFF hates him. And I just don't like, and again,
that was weird.
It's not a love affair. Like, again, this is why I don't think you can always be all numbers and all eyes. There's always going to be a mixture of all the things. But you look at PFF rankings of him and you're like, they don't think he's good. I mean, for the season, he's ranked behind Baker. He's ranked behind Dotson. Cody Barton is ranked ahead of him. And again, I'm not spending all my time watching Cody Barton, but I watched Dotson and Baker. And I'm like, there's just no way. I mean, this guy is leaps and bounds better than those two. It's a weird thing how I guess analytics can play a part in that, but I'm with you. I think Ernest Jones has been a great find there by John Schneider. Been a hell of a linebacker for him.
Shout out to Cody Barton though. He's been making some splash plays. I think he had another pick, I think, in that win over the Falcons. Yeah, he's playing well over there in Denver. I do think, what was interesting somewhat to that point is analytics and just conventional football wisdom as well will tell you that you have premier positions: edge, corner, receiver, tackle, yada yada. And I think it was last week, either this week or last week, Mike McDonald was asked, if you had the number 1 pick in the draft and you had to pick a defensive player, what position would you go with? And he said conventional wisdom tells you probably take a guy who can affect the quarterback. But he wanted to also mention, let's not devalue the guys who are effectively the spine of your defense. He was talking about backers, safeties, interior defensive linemen. And I've been talking about that with some of my other film nerds, because the more I watch, the more you see that's where your identity comes from. Like, you can have stars at the other spots. So you can have a TJ Watt or a Myles Garrett, or look at the Seahawks. Mike B was a great guy off the edge, and Cliff. But your spine is going to tell you how physical your team is. If you can have Myles Garrett on one edge and TJ Watt on the other, if you got a bunch of softies up your safeties, your backers, and your nose tackles or whatever, you are going to get run on. You're going to lose. You're going to lose every game, every week. I promise you. Because those guys, they define your toughness and your attitude. And that's where it really starts. And those guys are really involved in pretty much all of the action all the time, because they're in the middle, particularly your inside backers. So, to the point about Ernest, that's where he kind of shows up. You can't get away from him. Like you said, you're watching the game live on the broadcast, and you're like, wow, 13 is everywhere. It's very much like Bobby used to be like, wow, 54. You look up and he's got like 12 tackles for the game, that part of the game, I do think, is going to start to come back a little bit. And it's not gone on the field, but when I say that, I mean contracts and maybe how teams are marketed and draft status. Like, you're going to see, I think, a little bit more of these guys who play just up the spine at any 3 levels getting a little bit value, a little bit more, because teams are going to want to be tough. Every new coach says at every press conference, we want to be physical. We want to own line of scrimmage, yada, yada, yada. Can't do that with a pass rusher. You can't do that with a shut. I love Sauce Gardner. He's not making the Jets tough. He just can't from that position. You know what I mean? Like Quinnen Williams can, right? So I think we're going to see a shift there. And I thought it was notable. Mike McDonald kind of subscribes to that. Like, I need my spine to be a bunch of dudes, right? It's not just the guys who rush the passer.
And I also think history repeats itself. I mean, not just, in society, but also in sports. I mean, listen, I'm much older than you, and we don't need to tell how much older I am than you. But when I was growing up, the best player on your defense was your middle linebacker. Mike Singletary, Ray Lewis, Dick. I'm not old enough to remember Dick Butkus, but the point is that the best player was always the middle linebacker, always. And then it shifted, and then we, in a weird way, it felt like the same time we started devaluing maybe the running back. I don't know. Then it was like, you can draft the middle linebacker kind of anywhere, or you can draft a running back anywhere. I agree with you, and I think really it's a point you can make in all sports, talking about being tough, being sure up the middle. In baseball, they say it all the time in baseball: catcher, shortstop, center field, up the middle. I think you could even take it to basketball in a way and say point guard, center. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of middle when you line up, but it's the same thing. Solid point guard, solid center. You're tough on the front, you're tough on the back. And to your point, D tackle, middle linebacker, safety. It's kind of I remember when he answered that, it was I think refreshing to hear him say that.
Yeah, no, it was for me as well. The more I watch, because I don't watch just the Seahawks these days. Like the last, I want to say 3 seasons, I've spent a lot of time, maybe even going back to 2020. I started watching a lot more of the other teams, in part in 2020 because I just needed to see what good pass coverage looked like, because they were so bad. I was like, what is it supposed to look like? So I started watching some of the good teams. I was like, oh, okay, that helped me know, because that was a COVID year too, so I couldn't go in the locker room and ask who busted this coverage, right? I just had to figure out what the coverage is and what it's supposed to look like. So when you really watch other teams, you just see what matters, and you see where the difference makers are. I watched the Niners, and Fred Warner's a difference maker. When they had Hufanga back there, his reason he was all pro, he was a difference maker. It's just harder to avoid those guys who play in the middle wherever they play. Teams were able to avoid Sherm. You watch. Remember that Steelers game in 2015? I think he shadowed Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown had 60 yards, but then somebody else had 200. Because you can avoid a guy, but it's hard to avoid Bobby. It's hard to avoid Fred. It's hard to avoid Roquan Smith if you watch the Ravens. So I that stood out to me as well, and I wonder how I was kind of projecting long term when I really heard it. I was like, how's that going to work with John? How's that going to work with his staff when it's time to? Because they're going to have to hit reset, I think, at some point. The money just doesn't work out. There's a ton of guys that got to get paid. So where are you what positions do you value? Because that's what it's going to come down to when they kind of reshuffle things, which I think they'll have to do this year, no matter where they end up finishing.
Yeah. It's amazing. The razor edge line that it is between win and loss in the National Football League. If you go back to that game and we've talked about this all week, had the officials done the correct thing in penalizing Seattle for calling the back-to-back timeouts and had penalized them for it, San Francisco's looking at a 4th and 1, right? Now, they're probably going to go for it. All likelihood, let's just say they get it or they settle for the 55-yard field goal from Moody, whatever. The alternate universe, San Francisco wins that game. And just think about the narrative this week that we're talking about this team. Because, we talked about it a little bit last week, and I just think overall for the season is, they've been undisciplined, they've been sloppy at times, not knowing what they're doing, what personnel they're in, running guys late onto the field, having to take timeouts. And if that had happened last week and the result was different, man, just think about it. We are talking, Mike, totally different about that outcome with San Francisco and really just, where we're at right now with Mike McDonald.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you see the flip side of it with what's going on in San Francisco. Go just dive into go read any Niners writers this week or Niners podcast or Niners radio. And it's like, there's people either making the argument for or against keeping Kyle Shanahan. And the fact that no matter where you stand on it, the fact that that's even a part of the discourse down there in California right now speaks to how big of a swing, to go back what we were talking about earlier, these games are. If they can get a yard against the Rams, they're totally different. Right. Tyrell Dotson might still have a job here, if they get a yard against the Rams, or if they were able to get a yard against the Niners, that game maybe looks a little different yesterday. It doesn't look as maybe heroic with Geno, right. But because it panned out that way, look how Geno looks different now. Geno hadn't said anything about contract 100%. Stuff all year. He has a game-winning drive and hops on Richard Sherman's podcast and was like, yeah, I'm top tier, and the numbers and the film backs it up,
he said
He said Sherm talked him up, and Gino took the bait. He was like, where do I see myself? I see myself with the top tier quarterbacks. He said, my numbers speak for me. He said, my film says it too. Yeah, that's a quote. He hadn't said anything like that all season. They get that game winning drive, beating the Niners finally. These games, they change everything. It's just something so small, and that's what particularly the division games do. But that's also what they do when you don't have a margin for error.
Yeah,
because I can see why people are frustrated with Kyle down there, because they're in fourth now. That's tough. Like they're in fourth place in the division. They can climb out of it, but man, they got Green Bay next week and then Buffalo after that.
Yeah.
They could not have really afford to lose to Seattle. I can see why the sky's falling.
Because
down.
I think it's not only just that. It's not only losing to Seattle with what's on the horizon, but it's also, there's going to be talk, and rightfully so, with what's on the horizon for them in the offseason, because you start to see that window for them shrink. And they have been in this unbelievable situation the last few years down there. Seattle went through the same thing, that eventually when you've got to pay the quarterback and that guy commands a lot of money, it just restricts you what you can do in terms of keeping other people around you. Yes, you can draft, but the other guys that are going to have contracts, you have to make them expendable now because of the money that you're going to pay the quarterback. So I can see the frustration down there. I mean, it's great. It's wonderful. If you're a Seahawks fan, you want them to, in the pit of misery. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a reality, I think, that's hitting those fans. And I think probably some in the organization that, oh shit, man, this was supposed to be the year.
Well, also,
really hit the fan.
But to your point, the flip side could have been pretty much said about the Seahawks. I forget how.
Right.
I was looking at which guys need to get paid. I forget what little rabbit hole I fell down while I was working on a story today. But look at these guys. There's some of these guys that got to get paid. I wrote a list because I was texting one of my friends. I was like, this offseason might get a little dicey. These are the guys who reasonably could.
And they're way over, right, Mike?
Oh, yeah. They're already in the hole. So keep in mind, these are the guys that could need new contracts going into the offseason. DK, Gino, Ken, Abe, Charles, Reek, Boye, Ernest. Those are guys either headed for unrestricted free agency, which is the case with Ernest, and then everyone else I named is just going into the last year of their deal after this, with the exception of Charles, who has the 5th-year option.
Yeah.
But if you're smart, you probably should get ahead of that. But either way, he can go to the negotiating table. All of those guys, all of their agents can call John and be like, let's talk. Whether they get paid or not is whatever. But I mean, it's
going to be some hard conversations with, a Draymond Jones, Nwosu, Tyler Lockett. I mean, those are just 3 to come to mind right off the top of my head.
Yeah, and those are the we would be having those conversations today if they had lost.
Right.
Just like the Niners have to do that.
Yeah, but I also think that's a conversation that they will have to have.
Oh yeah. No matter how the season ends, even if it ends with a Super Bowl, I mean, you have to have some. That's a lot of guys. That's pretty much half your 2022 class. Your number one receiver and your quarterback.
Yeah. It's well, we'll get there. We got plenty of more shows to do and discuss that for sure. Abe Lucas, I thought he looked fantastic. I mean, I was blown away how good he looked. I mean, I thought he was going to really struggle at times. I know he gave up. To me, it only felt like he really gave up one pass rush or one sack to Bosa. I don't know how much maybe Charbonnet didn't help him with that, but my God, the first play of the game, Mike, he takes, I don't think it's Bosa, but he takes his defender and he drives him 4 or 5 yards off the football. And I mean, you could just tell. I watched him specifically. That's all I watched when they were on offense. You could just tell the difference immediately with him out there on that offensive line.
Oh, yeah. And the sack you're mentioning, Zach, I'm almost 1,000% sure was supposed to help. Because Zach just blocks no one. Like, he just watches Nick Bosa get to Gino earlier in the game. And the way Abe kind of sets in his pass set, it almost looks like he's leaving his outside shoulder open as if like, oh, okay, Zach's going to have my back. And then he just kind of doesn't. But I've always thought Abe, after their rookie year, I thought Abe was their best lineman. I know Charles was picked higher. I always thought Abe was their best guy. His physicality is what really stands out. It stood out in the preseason his rookie year. as well. Stood out all of his rookie year in the run game in particular. He hit a rookie wall a little bit. They had a couple games back to back, I think, against like Brian Burns, Bosa, and like Max Crosby in a row in like November, December. That was a tough stretch for him. But in general, I always thought he was their best guy. And honestly, quietly, Sunday's game kind of reinforced that. Charles was on his back a few
Cross
times.
didn't play well.
Yeah, and Geno bailed him out a few. I'm pretty much all of them except for one. And yeah, Charles was on his back a few times going against not Bosa, but like Gross Matos and Leonard Floyd, guys who were decent, but if a top 10 pick, we're talking about him maybe getting a new deal. I don't want you on your back going against Leonard Floyd, So that reinforced what I've always thought, that Abe is they're both difference makers because they're tackles, but of the two, Abe is that guy. He's much bigger too. He's just a huge, massive human. Moves really well, and he's a little bit of an asshole. Like he plays like one. Not personality wise. I don't know Abe.
He is a lot that.
Yeah, like I think he was like a pro Rolo guy. I think when he was at Wazoo, and the pro Rolo guys were like wired a little different. Different is the adjective I'll settle on.
Yeah.
But it's at certain positions I don't care. Like if my linemen are Rolo guys, okay, that's cool. Because you're probably just gonna be pancaking dudes all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Abe falls in. And I think his versatility as a lineman is great. He takes every challenge personal. He's just a dog out there. And yeah, he makes a lot of difference. And he plays clean ball too. Mike Jarrell, bless his heart, Stone Forsyth, they were out there doing their best, but they were committing a lot of penalties. Damn the blocking for a second. They just weren't playing clean. Abe didn't have no penalties yesterday or Sunday. That's huge. That's makes all the difference in the world on a team that was literally the third most penalized coming in to Sunday. So yeah, I think Abe's a difference maker in a huge, huge, huge way. He's not perfect, but I mean, every line is better in the NFL if you get your best dude back.
Yeah,
I don't care what team you are.
What do you expect on Sunday? And we got a different beast coming into town. I mean, Arizona's playing great football. Kyler Murray. I mean, I think there's a lot of people, probably myself. You wrote him off last year, and he's bounced back this year. He's completing damn near 70% of his passes. His touchdown interception ratio is incredible. He's running the ball. I mean, they're efficient. Connor's running hard. They got a good offense. It's year 2 under Gannon. It's all coming together for him right now. What do you think the keys are to it? How do you slow him down if you're Mike McDonald?
Yeah. Connor or Kyler?
Kyler.
Both.
Yeah,
Kyler.
or both. Yeah.
I think the key to getting to Kyler is going to be, it's going to be keeping him in the pocket because he's not a step up guy. He's a step out guy. Jalen Hurts is very similar. You kind of Russell was like that too. You just flush him one way, and you can kind of bottle him a little bit. Also, Kyler, as well as he's throwing the ball, he's like really happy with his feet, which can get him in some trouble. He hasn't thrown a lot of picks. I think only 3. But he's one of those guys who, if you can get him maybe to throw one early, you get him off his game or something like that. But their offense is really, really good. You know what it is, Puck? It's what the Seahawks want to be. They're really vertical and explosive, because last year their offense was just awful. They had no vertical threat. It was like Greg Dortch not running by nobody, or whatever his name was, Michael Wilson from Stanford. I like him. No one was scared of running by him. It's the same problem the Chargers had when their 2 best receivers were Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. It's like no one's running by you, on that offense. That's why they went and got some speed, the kid from TCU. So, the Cardinals now with Marvin Harrison Jr., they have this vertical offense, this vertical passing game, but a physical run game. Yeah. It's a great mesh. That's really what the Seahawks are trying to accomplish. They want DK to scare you for the defense, but they also want Ken to scare you, So, and I think with Connor and Marvin Harrison and Kyler, they're accomplishing that at a really high level right now. I expect you're gonna have to bring your hard hats. Like this is gonna have to be a really hard hat game. You can't miss tackles. I mean, what's gonna be key, Puck, is not missing tackles in open space. Like you can miss a tackle. Like Devin can miss a tackle if Kobe's right there to clean it up. Ernest can miss a tackle if Tyrese is right there. That's football. That happened on Sunday. They missed tackles, but guys are right there to clean it up. I think that's going to be huge on their offense. I think James Conner leads the league in missed tackles force right now. And
getting better with age. That's not supposed to happen with running backs.
Yes. I mean, some of it I think is also just guys learn how to take care of their bodies a lot better with, modern medicine. Too, but there's an art to playing running back. It isn't just being young and fast and elusive, it's setting up your blocks. It's knowing the timing of blocks. Saquon's been really good at that this year, playing behind that Eagles O-line. Like James has really mastered that. It's not just hitting the hole hard. It's timing, it's pacing, it's trusting your blocks. But I really think where the Seahawks are going to have a chance in this game is quiet as kept. The Cardinals defense is just Budda Baker and some dudes. Like it really is. Like no one really moved me when I watched the tape of them. They have some guys who have made some advantageous plays. Garrett Williams, one of their DBs, has made a couple picks this year, I think. But for the most part, I mean, Budda has like 100 tackles, and then it's just everybody else. Their leading pass rusher, I think, has like 3 sacks. They're one of the worst pass rushing teams. Their run defense is bad. The third down defense is average. Pretty much everything is average or bad, except for their red zone defense, I think is top 10. So I really think this is the game where take the over on the Seahawks points if you think they're going to win, because they should put up a 30 ball against a defense that's been playing well, but I think their numbers are cooked a little bit from playing the Jets and the Bears the last couple weeks. You look at, they were the team that played Tua in his first game back. I think they gave up like 27. So yeah, I think this is the game where Geno and those guys should put up a bunch of points.
47.5 is the number. 47.5, 50 degrees. I think it's going to be, I think it's clear, maybe a little cloudy. I don't think the weather's going to be a factor. And you're telling me, the Dugar report is telling me take the Seahawks on the over.
I don't know if the Seahawks are going to win. I think I just like the over. I got to watch a little bit more of, I got to watch the Seahawks offense again, because I thought it was really interesting. It looks like a light bulb might have come on for Grubb with the shotgun stuff. He used his
what do
highest.
You mean in terms of what?
He was using under center very seldom to start the year, and he used it, I think, at his highest rate against the Niners, particularly in the run game. He's running this college-y offense, and I get it. He's from college, but their run game is not good enough to run it out of shotgun as often as they were, and a lot of Ken's runs on Sunday were under center. They were better in short yardage on Sunday. All of their conversions running the ball in short yardage were under center, including their touchdown by Ken, so I think that's why I said the light bulb might have come on for Grubb. Like, he was trying to bring his offense to the Seahawks, which he's still doing, but like, dude, it's the same lesson Cliff Kingsbury learned way too late. It was like, dude, you eventually got to get out of that college mindset, dude. You got to play some big boy ball, have your quarterback get under center, and just knock the hell out of people.
It's interesting though, because that system though, being under center, if you go back and watch his calls at Fresno, they were under center a ton. It's weird because he's had almost like these two different offenses that he and DeBoer ran. There was like a Fresno offense, and then there was a Washington offense. And then they kind of mirrored, then they meshed them. But, when they were running it, running it down there in Fresno, but they had Jake Haener, the shotgun, a great deal, but they had a lot. They were a lot of under center looking like an NFL offense. I mean, he had 2 1,000-yard backs, one year that he was calling plays down there. So it's always been back there, but I agree with you. You did see the difference of him going under center. I love running under center. I love giving different looks. I think when you're in the shotgun the whole time, it's the same look. And I think running backs don't. I think they like a downhill. They like a little momentum when they get the ball, and it's hard to have momentum when you're out of the shotgun.
Yeah, and there are some teams who run well out of the shotgun. The Ravens have been one. The Eagles do a lot of like pistol and shotgun. Like, you can do it, but you have to be good at it. Like, there's nothing more aesthetically displeasing, I guess, than a bad shotgun run. Like, they just look so awful when they don't hit.
Slow developing.
Yeah, it's real slow. Your back doesn't get any speed, and it just looks completely terrible. Right. Like, it doesn't look nearly as bad as an under center run doesn't hit, but a shotgun run, just aesthetics. I'm nothing quantifying this. Just watching the games, I'm like, oh my God, ew. Like, it's the only thing that makes me just say ew when I watch a game is a bad shotgun run.
I'm with you.
Oh, man. So I'm glad Grubb maybe did some self-scouting over the bye week and was like, hey, let's get out of that because it's not working. It wasn't working.
Okay. All right, that's the Dugar report. Michael-Shawn Dugar every Thursday here at 11 o'clock. Of course, you can read all of his work at The Athletic. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Dugar, co-host of the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast with Chris Kidd. You can find that podcast anywhere where you find your podcast. What do you got cooking right now at The Athletic? What are you working on? What do you got up there right now?
Man, I think since they finally won a game, I think I can like write about how someone's playing well. No, seriously, like no one cares about like how the writers have to deal with this stuff, but man, it's so hard to like. I've had some stuff I've worked on, and then they lost a couple of games in a row, and then it just it was hard. I was trying to do something on Spoon, but then he tackled poorly in Atlanta, and I was like, okay, let me shelve that. So I think I want to do something. I should have something on JSN this week. Wow. I think he's doing what we all expected he would do. I talked to DK. I asked DK this week, like, hey, did you watch him much in college before you guys drafted him? He was like, nah. I was like, did you go back and watch him after you guys drafted him? He was like, no, I watched the Rose Bowl. I was like, that's all I needed to see. And you kind of forget he went bonkers in that game. Like, he's a guy who had 300 in a game. It's like throwing him these little bubble screens every once in a while. I'm like, nah, man, let that dude eat. And I'm glad that light bulb seems to have come on for Grubb, maybe out of necessity against the Rams, but now out of like desire against the Niners. So
last 3 games he's been absolutely incredible. All right, go read all of Mike's work again at The Athletic. Listen to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast with he and Chris Kidd. Again, find it wherever you find your podcast. Follow him on X at Mike Dugar. Again, Michael-Shawn Dugar every Thursday here, the Dugar Report. If you catch it later, also on YouTube, subscribe and leave a comment there. Also on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Of course, always one-stop shop up at pucksports.com. Again, Michael-Shawn Dugar, the Dugar Report, again, every Thursday that we'll have Michael-Shawn Dugar on from The Athletic, and, of course, the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast with our buddy Chris Kidd, which you can find anywhere where you find your podcast. We caught up with Mike last night. He's a new father. He's like, the only time that I have to myself is at 8:30, and I'm like, all right, we'll accommodate you. Big thanks to Mike for agreeing to do it. Rest of the season, he'll be every Thursday after we talk to Mike Garafolo. Love Mike. Love having him on. It's a free, easy Seahawks conversation with Mike, and he is one of the best. Go read all of his work. He has great insight, access to the players and to the team. Michael-Shawn Dugar. Follow him on X at Mike Dugar. All of the work up at The Athletic. And again, encourage you to go listen to him and Chris Kidd on the Seahawks Man to Man podcast. The puck, we got to do an update before we get out of here. We got Hey What the Puck coming up, and then I'll promote the baseball show one more time. Puck the Picker, Pigskin Pick'em. If you are one of those who have been playing in the Puck the Picker, Pigskin Pick'em, you got to get your picks in before tonight because we got Thursday Night Football. We got Steelers and Browns. I'm going to update everybody. I'm going to share my screen because we're going to go through all the picks together. I want you to see how bad I am at these picks. I'm 63-54. So, I'm okay. Ranked 94,000. But in our league, I'm better than that. 63-54, picking every single game of the spread every week. That's okay. Our leaders right now in the Puck the Picker pigskin pool. And remember, the winner gets an all-expenses-paid trip to Las Vegas, Nevada, first round of the NCAA tournament, courtesy of our guy, Troy Wins, TroyWins.com. Going to stay at the Circa Hotel, airfare. He's got dinner at Barry's, all of it. 2-night stay or the weekend stay there, first round of the NCAA tournament. Standings right now, Jeff Johnson's our leader at 99-67. Jesus, Jeff. I hope you're betting on these games, man. Dwayne Mathis is at 94-53. Jason Oldman's at 87-61. Ryan Johnson, 87-76. Arv Glenn at 86-63. Thomas Hoensi at 86-62. Jackson Wells, 85-64. And Derek Vadney at 85-54. All right, Steelers, Browns. I'm going to do this rapid fire because you're probably like, you're an idiot. And I want people to say that you're an idiot. You can do it on the chat. Steelers. Let's see. Vikings -3.5 against the Bears. Vikings. Lions -7.5 against the Colts. Oh, that's in Indianapolis, right? God, it's a lot of points. Colts played better. You want to take the Colts? Okay, Colts. Patriots getting 7.5 against Miami. Patriot. I can't. I don't see it. Give me the Dolphins -7.5. Bucks -5.5 against the Giants. No. Give me the Bucks -5.5. The Cowboys are getting 10.5 against the Commanders. God, that's a lot of points. Cooper Rush. Give me the Cowboys. I'll take 10.5. Chiefs 11.5 over the Panthers. God, these are some big numbers. I'll go Chiefs. Titans are getting 8.5 against the Texans. Let's go Texans. Raiders are getting 5.5 against the Broncos. Broncos are playing better. Raiders are kind of a dumpster fire, but it's Gardner. I can't bet against Gardner. I'll go Gardner. God, that's a stupid bet. Packers and Niners, 2.5. I think the Niners are done. I think they're toast. Give me the Packers. Seahawks minus 1.5 against the Cardinals. All right. God, the Cardinals own them at home, don't they? Or the Cardinals own them here in Seattle. Do we ride the Seahawks? 60% of you have picked the Cardinals. They don't play well at home. I'm going to be that guy, Arizona. God, it's terrible. I'm sorry. Rams and Eagles. Eagles favored by 2.5 over the Rams. Let's go Eagles. And then finally, Ravens favored by 2.5 over the Chargers. Let's go 2.5. All right. If you are playing Puck the Picker Pigskin Pick'em, make sure you get your picks in before tonight and for the weekend. Good luck to all those guys. Jeff Johnson, Dwayne Mathis, Jason Oldman, Ryan Johnson, Arv Glenn, Thomas Hennessy. I think I've butchered his name. And Jackson Wells and Derek Vadney are your leaders right now. All right. Hey, what the puck? We're going to get to that. It's brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Restoration One, and especially in this time, with what's been going on, if you have any property damage, water damage, mold damage, fire, especially what's been happening here in the last 24, 48 hours, I think these guys, I tried to call Trent earlier or text them. I think they're busy. I think they're running around right now. They are the company that's going to let you avoid the stress of all those things. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when the damages affect your residential or commercial property. You can visit them online at restoration1.com. The North Seattle franchise. 206-817-8917 is the phone number. Give those guys a call at restoration1.com. I appreciate those guys sponsoring Hey, What the Puck. And Hey, What the Puck is something we talked about a little bit yesterday or this week in regards to our interview with Washington State defensive tackle David Gusta. In case you missed that interview with David Gusta, it's part of the Cougs Corner podcast I do every week where we interview Jake Dickert or a player. And this week's guest was David Gusta's fun. Talked about traveling, talked about just life in Pullman, growing up in San Bernardino, under the roof of his, mom, who's raising 4 kids, working a job, going to school. But he is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the country, and a guy that schools are going to throw money at, and a guy that's going to be a hot name if he were to ever enter the transfer portal. Is the transfer portal on the horizon for David Gusta? Tell Cougar fans about because your name will come up in the portal, and Cougar fans will be nervous that they would lose you in the transfer portal. What would you say to them about that?
I would say that I'm definitely not leaving. NIL, I'm happy with whatever you guys give me, and I'm happy here in Pullman. I used to hate it here, but now I love it, and I couldn't even imagine leaving. But once you get used to it, you definitely fall in love with it. And I have a great coaching staff because like the coaching that you do get here at WSU because out here it's nothing. You only have nothing but family, and that's what I really started to enjoy about it. Especially me and my girl. Like there's not much to do out here, so it definitely forces me and her to get closer together, and just that bond and relationship that I've grown through over these 4 years.
The one thing that we talked about yesterday on the show, and we played it, and there's another clip of David about how many college coaches are tampering with him and calling him, and he detailed it in that interview that he wouldn't name the schools or the coaches, who are constantly contacting him via his social media channels, and also contacting his family and his mom and blowing up her phone. NCAA needs to act now in regulation over the NIL. There is no oversight right now. These coaches, they're actively tampering, as David Gusta laid out. I mean, I don't know. I don't listen to all these kids interviews or player interviews across the country. I don't think find me another player that went on a show and detailed what exactly is happening in college sports. Not in this town. No one's been doing it. No one's having someone on saying that. I think what's happening with David Gusta, and I'm glad that David Gusta illustrated it in something Jake Dickert said yesterday when he met with the media, that he's glad that it's out in the open, that this is what's happening not only to David Gusta, but to players at Washington, players at Oregon, players at Oregon State. It's happening everywhere. It's not fair to anyone involved and everyone involved. We're putting too much pressure on these athletes. We're putting too much pressure on coaches. We're putting too much pressure on families. Good for David Gusta. Really good for him. Again, does it mean that he will want, just because he said it, he's going to stay? No, I'm not a fool. Okay, I'm not. I think you say something one day and then you change your mind and then you leave. But there's part of me that believes him, with great conviction of what he said this week. Money does provide security, and it does, to a degree, provide happiness, but it can't provide relationships, community, growth. And I think for many out there, there are things that are more important than money. And I think David Gusta understands that. I mean, he detailed in our conversation, he didn't grow up with money. He didn't grow up well off. He grew up struggling, poor. His mom went to school at the same time while raising 4 kids in a gang-infested town in San Bernardino. If anybody wanted to chase the money and the highest bidder would be someone like David Gusta. And you know what? No one would blame him. No one. But what is important to David Gusta? Family and community. He said it right there. And that's what he's got in Pullman. And we tend to always say this younger generation is always me first, but I think David Gusta has put we first with what he said. And I think it was a strong statement there by David Gusta. But the overall point is that this NCAA needs to get this under wraps and needs to find some regulation because it is out of control. A couple of housekeeping items before we go. That's Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One. Go visit them, restoration1.com, North Seattle franchise. Voicemails tomorrow. Friday voicemails are back. If Friday voicemails, get them in. I know there's power out everywhere, so many people aren't tuning in as much as we had in previous weeks. But get those voicemails in on Friday voicemails with Jim Moore back. He loves the Friday voicemails. Get those picks in for Puck to Picker. Reminder, we are off all next week. We'll be back on December 2nd, so everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving. But again, get those voicemails in, 425-577-7272. If you need to see the number again, just go to pucksports.com. Another reminder, I'll tease it one more time. We're going to play the clip again. Our Mariners off-season diamond table is out. Ryan Divish, Adam Jude, Jim Duquette, Bill Kruger, Brad Adam. 2+ hours you can watch and listen to it. VIP exclusive content. The Pucks Posse community membership. This is just a little snippet of what you're going to get in that 2+ hours.
Working it together. At some point, you either say, we're going to win and we're going to invest more to ensure the fact that we don't have these issues, or get out. I mean, that's kind of...
Crawford is going to have to, he's going to have to fix it.
Yep.
This forward press, try to hit the ball in the ballpark, the forward press at the top of the bat, he's going to have to flatten the bat out, man. Let's go.
I got to
hit 25 homers. Let's go. You got to get better.
And the people that I spoke with, surprised that was done in such secretive fashion, without any fanfare, but without any announcement, almost like they were trying to slide something through and buy people. And that's what still doesn't make sense to me, is you don't have to announce the terms. A lot of teams don't announce terms, and some go about it this way, but it's just not the right way to do business, in my opinion, to your fan base.
So go now, sign up and join the Pucks Posse community membership on the, if you're watching the stream, it's the QR code. You can scan it there with your phone, which will take you right to the Patreon site. You can also go to pucksports.com. Again, if you want access to all my content, all of the Puck Sports content and don't want to miss a thing, please, I encourage you to become a full member. Members get full access. They get VIP content. Again, you want full access, make sure you become a Puck's Posse community member. Again, that QR code right there will take you there. Also, just log on to pucksports.com. That will take you there as well. If you go to the Patreon site, patreon.com, and search Puck Sports, it will be right there. I'll share it here, what it looks like. You sign up for 1 month. You can sign up for a month, go month to month, or you can sign up for a year. And as I said, we have the 2+ hour show of the Mariners offseason diamond table. An audio version is posted up on the Patreon site, on the Puck's Posse membership site. Also, video, if you want to see our handsome faces. Because, damn it, we're pretty good-looking guys. All of us together. Not as handsome as Brad and Adam Jude, but I think we're pretty handsome. So go sign up there, please. And again, VIP access, and it gives you content to everything that we do. All these episodes of the Daily Puck Drop and all of our guests are up later. If you're listening and watching this live, for those who watch it and listen to it later, everything is always up on YouTube. Please like and subscribe there. That benefits, helps us out there. Also, you can listen to it on Apple and Spotify, and wherever you find your podcast. And, of course, always everything up at pucksports.com. All right, everyone, have a wonderful Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Jim Moore is back. We'll talk to Troy Wins, our handicapper, Lofa Tatupu, with his, once again, he's on once a week now on Fridays, talking Seahawks football. And then also we wrap up every Friday with Chris Egan. So we'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, promise to be better.
No shoes, no dice.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!